Hi, welcome to the Albuquerque Museum. I'm Andrew Connors, the director here. We're here in the permanent collection exhibit called Common Ground, Art of New Mexico. And in honor of National Hispanic Heritage Month, we'd like to show you some of the highlights of the museum's permanent collection. But these are all on view on a regular basis. We'd like to take you down to the vault now so that you can explore some of the things that you can't ordinarily see. So let's go downstairs. What I'd like to show you now are some of the Mexican filigree works that were created in New Mexico starting in the 1860s and 70s. The Albuquerque Museum has a really rich collection of some of these objects, and it's always a pleasure to show them. Some of these works include filigree earrings with these wonderful dangles. Mostly created in the 1870s, 1880s, and 90s. Some of the work is absolutely astonishing in its detail. This necklace created by the Abieta brothers is a perfect example. This style did not develop in New Mexico. It dates all the way back to the ancient Greeks and the ancient Phoenicians. And it takes tiny little gold and silver wires and flattens them and then creates these beautiful over-the-top Baroque design motifs by simply shaping the wires. New Mexico became a hotbed of filigree production starting in the 1870s and 1880s. Once the railroad arrived in New Mexico, it meant that creators like this, the Abieta brothers, the Spitz Jewelry Company in Santa Fe, were able to market these nationally. And it's astonishing to think that a little brooch like this, marketed by the Spitz Jewelry Company in Santa Fe, was marketed in a mail-order catalog for 20 cents. You could buy this silver butterfly brooch. You could pay 25 cents and get it delivered to your home. So they were doing mail order in the 1880s out of Santa Fe and Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's an astonishing twist on the story that we think of as New Mexico being remote and removed from any other community. But once the railroad arrived, suddenly jewelers, mostly Hispanic jewelers, some Native Americans that did this work, had access to national markets. And when people came to New Mexico on the railroad to buy tourist trinkets and items like this, the sorts of jewelry that they would have purchased was advertised as Mexican filigree. It was called Mexican because that represented the best of quality in this sort of filigree tradition. And people brought it home and it was famous nationwide. And it's astonishing how quickly, within 20, 30 years, how the filigree jewelry suddenly became outdated and was replaced most prominently by Navajo or Dene and Zuni jewelry. So this Hispanic filigree tradition is really astonishing and very little known because it simply doesn't fit into an easy story of Native American jewelry or an easy story of New Mexican jewelry being entirely rooted in the Native American tradition. But there are a number of artisans who are keeping this tradition alive, and Juan Lopez is one of the best of them. He's based in Corrales, New Mexico, and he created this filigree cross just a few years ago, showing that there are a number of artists that are keeping the tradition alive and constantly innovating. It's an astonishing story and one of those perfect examples of New Mexican history being so much more rich than we're told in the history books. But it's these complex stories that don't easily fit into stereotype and don't easily fit into one mainstream story. So Hispanic filigree in New Mexico has so much to teach us about the diversity and the heritage of our state.